There comes a time when the path before you vanishes into fog, when the decisions that used to be clear become heavy, when you wake up with questions that chase you until sleep, and even then they follow. You wonder whether to hold on or let go, whether to speak or stay silent, whether to fight or surrender. The mind loops through every scenario, trying to predict the outcome. But there's no certainty, no guarantees, just the weight of choice. In these moments, you must not look outside for your answer. You must go inward. There is a compass buried in the stillness of your heart. It doesn't shout, it doesn't plead, it waits. And when you quiet the fear, when you step beyond the opinions of others and the ego's demands, you will hear it. Choose Dharma. Dharma isn't the easiest path. It's rarely the most comfortable, but it is the one that keeps you in integrity with your soul. When Prince Rama was exiled from Ayodhya, he didn't argue, he didn't rebel, he didn't ask, "Why me?" He simply accepted what was and walked into the forest with grace. Not because he lacked the power to fight, not because he was numb, but because he honored something higher than comfort, something greater than emotion. Dharma. Dharma isn't about perfection. It doesn't guarantee that the world will applaud you. It doesn't promise immediate peace, but it does something else. It aligns you with truth. And when you live from that place, even if the path is hard, your steps become light, your heart clear. Each of us carries within us a forest to walk through. It may not look like Rama's exile. Yours might be a heartbreak, a difficult decision, a silent sacrifice. But in all these moments, you have one true guide, not the voice of fear, not the noise of society, but the quiet wisdom that says, do what is right, even if it costs you, especially if it costs you, because that is the price of freedom, and that is the beginning of peace.
You may wonder, how do I know what Dharma is? How can I be sure what's right when life feels like a storm and everything seems to pull me in different directions? The truth is, Dharma is rarely loud. It doesn't announce itself with trumpets or certainty. It's not found in others' praise, nor in the escape from discomfort. It is sensed in the silence after honesty. It's what remains when you strip away your attachments, your fears, your pride. When Bharata came to the forest, pleading with Rama to return to the throne, there was love in his voice, urgency in his eyes. He wasn't asking out of selfishness. He wanted Ayodhya to have its rightful king. But Rama did not move. Not because he didn't love his brother, not because the people didn't need him, but because he had made a vow. Because his father's word had to stand, even after death. Because Dharma, once seen, cannot be unseen. The easy choice would have been to return, to take the crown, to end the suffering of his people. But Dharma doesn't chase ease. It tests resolve, and Rama understood that to break one's own word is to fracture something deeper than trust. It is to break the spine of one's inner self. There is a sacredness to doing what is right when no one is watching. When the world would forgive you for taking the easier road. When even your loved ones would understand. And still, you choose to carry the weight. That is Dharma. You may not wear a crown. You may not walk through forests. But your choices hold the same weight. Every moment asks you, will you serve your ego or your essence? Will you bend to fear or rise in truth? Sometimes Dharma is choosing to stay when everything tells you to run. Sometimes it's walking away when staying feels safer. Sometimes it's saying what must be said. Sometimes it's holding silence when your pride wants to speak. Dharma is not fixed. It moves with life, but its core never changes. To act with integrity, to honor your word, to do no harm, and to stay rooted in what is just, even if no one sees it, even if no one understands. You don't need all the answers, just the courage to listen. Dharma will not lead you astray. It may not spare you the pain, but it will spare you the regret. There's a moment in every life where the heart breaks not from loss, but from knowing what must be done. These are not the grand decisions that others praise, but quiet ones that carve your soul. Choosing Dharma often means standing alone, not because you wish to, but because truth has its own path, and not everyone is ready to walk it. When Sita chose to accompany Rama into exile, she wasn't compelled by duty alone. She was drawn by something deeper, the understanding that Dharma is not separate from love. that to share life's ease, but not its hardship, is to only taste half of devotion. She gave up the comforts of palace walls for the uncertain path of forest life, not because she lacked wisdom, but because she possessed the highest form of it. Dharma is not just about justice. It is about loyalty, humility, restraint. It is knowing what is yours to carry and carrying it without bitterness. You may be tempted to ask, why me? Why must I carry this burden, walk this road, face this test? But that question only leads to suffering. The wise do not ask why the fire burns. They learn how to endure it without being consumed. They understand that tests don't come to break them. They come to reveal them. What you are facing now may feel unfair. It may seem like the world is against you, that no one sees the battle you're fighting. But Dharma isn't chosen because it's fair. It's chosen because it's right. There will be moments when you want to be understood, defended, validated. And perhaps you deserve all three. But Dharma will ask you to let go of what you deserve and instead embrace who you are becoming. It's not weakness to feel the ache of your choices. It is strength to stay with them. It is power to say, even though this hurts, even though no one applauds, I will not stray from the path of what is just. This is not about self-sacrifice for the sake of pain. It's about self-honoring for the sake of peace. You do not follow Dharma to please others or to prove anything. You follow it because it aligns you with something eternal, the part of you untouched by fear, unshaken by opinion, unburdened by time. And when you act from that place, quiet, steady, clear, the world may not change immediately, but you will. And that, more than anything, is the beginning of liberation. Sometimes, the most painful confusion isn't about right or wrong. It's when both options feel right, yet you must choose only one. This is where the heart trembles, not from doubt, but from the weight of discernment. And it is here that Dharma shows its true shape, not as a fixed rule, but as a living guidance that meets you where you are. Lakshmana followed Rama into exile without question. He wasn't ordered to come. He wasn't seeking glory. His loyalty wasn't rooted in obedience. It came from clarity. He knew who he was. He knew where his devotion belonged. And so his Dharma became action, not contemplation. He didn't wait for the world to grant him a role. He chose his path by listening to the deepest truth within. Dharma is personal. What is right for you may not be right for another. What you must walk away from, someone else may be called to endure. There is no universal script, only a quiet awareness that keeps whispering, "This is your way. Walk it." And yes, at times, you will question that voice. The mind will return with its fear. What if I'm wrong? What if I regret this? But Dharma does not guarantee comfort. It offers alignment, and that alignment becomes your anchor when the waters rise. To walk in Dharma is not to live a life without storms. It is to become the stillness within them, to act without attachment to outcome, to love without possession, to give without expectation, and above all, to live without betraying yourself. There may be those who call your choices foolish. There may be moments when even you doubt your strength. But remember, even Rama, the embodiment of Dharma, faced humiliation, separation, war. Choosing righteousness did not shield him from pain. It revealed his true stature through it. So when you're torn between choices, don't ask, which path will hurt less? Ask instead, which path allows me to remain whole? Because pain fades, but compromise on your soul leaves a fracture that lingers. This is the courage that Dharma asks of you, to see clearly, to choose honestly, and to act even when it costs you. Especially when it costs you, because in that cost, you find your character. And in your character, you find peace. Not because life became easier, but because you no longer betrayed who you were meant to be. There comes a time when Dharma feels heavy, not because you don't believe in it, but because the world doesn't reflect it back to you. You see people lie and rise. You see those who abandon their word still find applause. And you begin to wonder, what is the use of doing what's right if the world rewards what's easy? This is the hidden test, not of your morality, but of your endurance. When Ravana abducted Sita and took her to Lanka, he didn't do so out of ignorance. He knew the laws of Dharma. He knew the weight of his actions. But he chose desire over truth. He chose what served his pride over what served the greater good. And for a time, he sat on a golden throne surrounded by illusions of power. But illusions are not victories. They are delays. The fruit of adharma ripens slowly, but when it falls, it breaks everything it touches. Ravana's end did not come from an external force. It came from his own deviation from what was just. So if you feel unseen in your efforts, if you wonder why choosing the harder, truer path only seems to isolate you, remember this. Real power does not come from shortcuts. It comes from integrity. 1,000 silent acts of righteousness hold more weight than a single act of recognition. You do not follow Dharma for rewards. You follow it to stay uncorrupted, to protect your clarity, to sleep without regret and rise without shame. This is the wealth no one can steal from you. Not fate, not failure, not time. Sita, in the depths of captivity, never let her dignity falter. Though surrounded by darkness, she kept her mind pure, her heart steady. Not because it was easy, but because she knew that external defeat means nothing if the inner self remains unshaken. Likewise, your circumstances may not reflect your worth. The world may not mirror back your honesty, your kindness, your resolve. But Dharma doesn't ask for validation. It asks for remembrance. Remember who you are. Remember what matters. And let that memory be stronger than any doubt, any noise, any temptation to turn away from what's right. Because the world is not your guide. The world is your mirror. And when you act in truth, even when unseen, you become the very light others have forgotten to look for. There is a stillness that comes, not from the absence of struggle, but from choosing rightly in the midst of it. That stillness is the mark of one who walks the path of Dharma, not to escape life's chaos, but to move through it with grace. Even when Rama marched to war against Lanka, carrying the weight of loss, separation, and injustice, he did not allow anger to corrupt his purpose. His battle was not for revenge. It was not to restore pride. It was to restore balance. That is the mark of one who understands Dharma. They fight, not to conquer others, but to protect what is sacred. And you, too, will have your own battles. Not all of them visible. Some will rage inside your thoughts. The conflict between resentment and forgiveness, between fear and courage, between desire and restraint. The battlefield of Dharma is not only in the world, it is within your own choices. You may feel the pull to act in haste, to retaliate, to give in to what brings quick relief. But Dharma asks something harder. It asks for restraint when you have power, for compassion when you have the right to anger, for clarity when your heart is clouded by pain. And yes, this makes you vulnerable. To walk the path of Dharma is to open yourself to being misunderstood, even criticized. But the one who truly sees, knows, that which is righteous will never be wasted, even if the world overlooks it. You are not here to win every argument. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to grow in wisdom, to act from love, to speak from truth, even when your voice trembles. Especially then, let others choose their path. Let them walk their own lessons. Your task is not to judge their way. Your task is to honor yours. And when you feel tired, when your faith flickers, return to silence. In silence, the voice of Dharma becomes loud again. It reminds you that you are not alone. Every righteous step leaves a mark. Invisible, perhaps, but eternal. Like the river that cuts through stone, not with force, but with patience. Your quiet integrity shapes your destiny. You don't need a rush. You don't need to prove. You only need to remain true. For the one who walks with Dharma does not chase peace. They become it. To choose Dharma is to accept a life of inner freedom. Not the kind sold by comfort or ease, but the kind that comes from never being a prisoner to your own desires. You walk through this world not untouched by suffering, but unowned by it. Rama's return to Ayodhya, after years of exile and war, was not the end of his tests. It was the beginning of new ones. Even in victory, Life asked him to make impossible choices. Choices that wounded the heart but preserved the kingdom. You may ask, was it fair? Did he not deserve rest? But Dharma does not retire when comfort arrives. It sharpens, because the greater your influence, the greater your responsibility to the truth. This is why Dharma is not simply about following rules. It is about holding your power wisely, about not letting your personal longing outweigh the needs of what you serve. At times, this will tear you. You will feel the tension between what you want and what is right. You will wish the two align more often. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But those who live for meaning over comfort understand this. Peace is not the absence of sacrifice. It is what rises after the sacrifice has been made for the right reasons. And so, if you ever wonder why your path feels heavy, if your soul aches while doing the right thing, know this: the weight you carry is not a burden. It is your becoming. Every time you choose stillness over reaction, honesty over pretense, depth over appearance, you are becoming someone stronger than pain, clearer than confusion. You are becoming someone who cannot be bent by passing storms. Dharma is not only a compass, it is a mirror. It shows you who you are when no one is watching. And the more you follow it, the more your inner world becomes unshakable, even if the outer world remains uncertain. Do not be discouraged by how long the path is. This journey is not about how far you go. It is about how closely you walk with your truth. Even a single step in alignment is more powerful than 1,000 steps in distraction. And when you stumble, because you will, do not abandon the path. Pause, reflect, correct. The light of Dharma does not dim when you falter. It waits for you to return. In the end, your life will not be measured by what you owned or how many people approved of you. It will be measured by how you lived when no one was looking, by the choices you made when nothing guaranteed reward, by the silence you kept when anger begged for voice, and by the words you spoke when truth had no defenders. Dharma does not always lead to comfort. It often leads to solitude, to misunderstanding, to long stretches of doubt. But those who follow it discover something deeper than comfort. They find peace. Not the kind that comes and goes with circumstances, but the kind that grows roots within the soul. Even when the road twists, even when losses come, those who walk in Dharma remain rooted. Like the tree that does not move with every wind. Like the mountain that stands regardless of whether it is praised or ignored. And yes, there will be days when your clarity will waver. When you will ask, is it worth it? In those moments, remember, your life is not just yours. Every act of righteousness plants a seed in the collective. Someone, somewhere, will walk easier because you chose to walk rightly. You don't need to be flawless. You don't need to carry every answer. You only need to remain available to the truth, to listen when the noise grows loud, to return when you drift, to act when fear says wait. Because Dharma is not about certainty. It is about sincerity. The sincere heart will find its way even through the fog, even through the noise, even through the hurt. So the next time you don't know what to do, don't rush. Breathe. Listen. Beneath the confusion, beneath the opinions and the fear, there is always a knowing. A quiet whisper that says this is the way. It won't shout. It won't argue. But it will never lie to you. Follow it. Even if the path is narrow. Even if you walk it alone. That is the way of Dharma. That is the way home.